way has a smooth, tender, and savory taste, is especially flavorful, and goes perfectly with rice. Next, follow my camera and let's see how I do it. First, we prepare a block of fresh tofu. For this dish, we must choose soft tofu, also known as silken tofu, rather than firm tofu, because soft tofu has a smoother and more tender texture. First, we place the tofu on the cutting board. Then, using a flat knife technique, cut the tofu in half. Then cut the tofu into strips about 2 centimeters long. And finally turn it and cut it into small cubes. After cutting, the small tofu cubes in our hands should not be too large, otherwise they won't absorb the flavor. Well, cutting them to the size shown in the video is just right. Once the tofu is cut, place it in a bowl for later use. Next, we prepare some small ingredients needed for cooking. Prepare a few cloves of garlic and remove the top part, which we don't need. Then, cut them into thin slices. You can prepare a little more garlic. That way, the garlic flavor will be more intense. After slicing, chop them into minced garlic, trying to chop the garlic as finely as possible. After cutting all of it, put it into a bowl for later use. Next, prepare a piece of ginger, peel it, and first cut it into thin slices. Then cut it into thin strips. Finally, chop it into minced ginger. After cutting, put it into a bowl for later use. Prepare a few small chili peppers. Remove the stems, and then cut them into small rings. After cutting all the small chili peppers, put them into a bowl. For later use, prepare 2 or 3 green onions, cut off the white part, and then chop it into scallions. After cutting, place it together with the ginger and garlic for later use. Next, prepare 4 or 5 small chives. Wash them clean, and then... Moreover, they taste very good when paired with tofu. First, cut off a bit of the top and discard it. Then cut the rest into small sections. Once all are cut, set them aside separately for later use. Next, we begin the actual cooking. First, we heat a pot of water, adding a little salt to the pot to enhance the base flavor of the soup. This way, the tofu will absorb more flavor after blanching. After stirring the salt to dissolve it, put the cut tofu into the pot and blanch it briefly. The purpose of blanching is to remove the beany taste from the tofu, making it taste better. Once the water boils, blanch the tofu for another minute, then drain and remove it from the pot. Next, we start with a new pot, adding a little cooking oil. Once the oil is hot, add ginger, scallions, garlic, and small chili peppers to the pot. Sauté them slowly over low heat to bring out the flavors of the ginger, scallions, and garlic. After sautéing them until fragrant over low heat, add a spoonful of doubanjiang, fermented bean paste. Then continue to sauté it slowly to bring out the red oil from the doubanjiang. Once the red oil is released, add a bowl of clear water. Then turn up the heat to bring the broth to a boil. After it boils, return the blanched tofu to the pot. Gently stir it with a spatula and bring the broth back to a boil. At this point, add the chopped seafood mushrooms. Gently stir it with a spatula to mix it evenly. Alright, next we start seasoning by adding a pinch of salt and a little chicken essence. You can skip the chicken essence if you prefer. And add a little bit of sugar to enhance the flavor. Finally, add half a spoon of light soy sauce. After seasoning, gently stir it with a spatula to ensure all the seasonings are fully dissolved. Next, cover it with a lid and simmer on medium heat for 10 minutes to let the tofu absorb the flavors and taste better.
A few moments later, alright, 10 minutes have passed. Let's open the lid and take a look. At this point, the tofu is already very flavorful.
You need to swiftly spread it out to prevent the sauce from forming lumps. Next, continue to thicken the sauce with more water starch. We gently push the tofu with a spatula, being careful not to stir too vigorously, or else it will break apart. To my dear friends, if you've watched this far and found my video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Your likes and comments are my driving force. Thank you so much. Thank you for your encouragement, it really helps me. Now the broth has thickened significantly and is quite rich. Now we will add the chives into the mixture. Then continue to gently stir it a little more. Eating this tofu sprout mixed with rice is absolutely fantastic. Anyone who loves tofu must try making it. Finally, scoop it out and serve it on a plate for a delightful meal. Well, that's it. A tasty and hearty braised tofu dish is now complete. The tofu prepared this way is very tasty and incredibly flavorful. It's incredibly delicious, with a fresh, fragrant, tender and smooth taste that is absolutely unbeatable, even better than mapo tofu. The only downside is that it consumes a lot of rice. It really consumes a lot of rice when mixed like this. I truly believe you.
看着米饭吃，真的是相信你能吃上3大碗。如果您也喜欢这道菜，就收藏起来，改天给家里人试做一下。喜欢我的视频，记得点赞、关注、留言并转发哦。我每天都会分享不一样的家常美食。好啦，今天的视频简单的分享到这里，我们下期再见。